at call. We'll call to order the meeting of the Safety Committee at 3:01 p.m. on the 6th of June. So we have in every committee meeting and board of directors meeting, we have land acknowledgement and anti-racism statement. We don't read those. Those are posted on the website. If anyone new here needs to know where to find them, just let us know. We'll point you in the direction. Also, because this is a small meeting, we don't do an official roll call. We just see who is here. We note that for the minutes. And we do that and we operate under Robert's Rules of Orders for small groups, so we don't need to do an official roll call, and we don't have to have any motions that we make. If we make any, we don't have to have them seconded. So guess the first thing we do is there any questions or modifications needed to the agenda? Okay, then everyone in favor of adopting the agenda? Okay, unanimous. Okay, and I don't think, Morgan, do we have anyone tuned in?
I do not see any participants.
Okay, so no. So something,
if somebody does pop in, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. So just something to talk about regarding the having others outside of voting members participate. How do you all feel about having our meetings open as if it was in an open forum and we had people who weren't voting members of the committee still be active participants in the committee and able to participate in discussions?
I like that idea.
You can just give thumbs up or thumbs down if you like, Judy, to save your voice. So we feel good about having open meetings so that those, even if they're not a voting member, they're not limited to the 3 minutes. They can jump in and out and have a discussion and be active participants. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that for the future. Okay, so old business. We might, if we want to move this to another day, Judy, when the next meeting, when you feel better, just let us know. Or we could do it again. Just wanted to recap the Firewise meeting we had. We had over 100 participants between in-person and Zoom.
Wow.
That is great. I mean, that was a really good turnout. I think it went really well. I know, Taimi, you were not able to attend. Did Colleen or Ted?
I was out of town.
So it is recorded if you want to see it. They did a really good job. I think well, Judy did a really good job. Hands down, it's all Judy. It was all Judy. Round of applause. She did it all. She put it together. It was absolutely wonderful. I think everyone really enjoyed it. We had a lot of questions from the audience our community members, and I think pretty much everybody who attended was from within Sudden Valley, so that was really nice. Important things that they addressed is they did go over the exits. It's a concern of a lot of our members that there's only one exit in and out of like gate 1, gate 2, and gate 5, and they did address that. Gate 5, they addressed that during fire season that the barricades are moved, and in an emergency they would be moved. I mean, if it was winter or something and the roads are passable, they could move those in a second. So having those barricades there does not prohibit people from getting out in an emergency. It prohibits people from using that road when it's unsafe, when it's not an emergency. They also address the entranceways at gate 1 and gate 2. Because those are primary roads. Those would be the roads that they keep open. So the fear of those being blocked is very, very minimal. Those would be the focus to keep those open so people could get in and out. If those were for some reason, like the road cracked in half or something and it wasn't drivable, people would get out. There's the golf course. You can just drive across it. So they were really that concerned about not getting everyone out in an emergency because of those. There might be other reasons, but the blockage of the entranceways at the gates did not seem to be a concern of anyone there in emergency management. So I have to trust that they know what they're doing. Also, regarding the fire, they brought up the fire station being closed. It is looking like it will be closed until next year. They are moving ahead with the major renovations. They were going to do a renovation in a couple of years, and because they had to shut it down for repairs, they're just going to go and do the full renovations now so that they don't have to close it and reopen it and then close it again. So it will be closed for a while. It is staffed by an administrator, and the fire chief is here in Sun Valley in Gate 3. So there are people here in Sun Valley who could respond if it was like a medical emergency, that are trained, but currently it is not staffed with engines. Those would come from the Geneva Fire Station. Also, they went over clearing. And Judy, just raise your hand if I'm saying something wrong, because this is from memory. Clearing, they went over how to clear your house in like immediate 5 feet, and the next 5 feet out, and the following 5 feet out. It's very informative, and it kind of makes my personal feeling is one of the things they said to do is not use bark, and I see all of our new builders using bark completely. So that would be something that we could bring to the attention of the ACC, but it is really up to them. They're allowed to do it at this point. So it's up to the builders to just use their judgment. It's nothing we could force them to do. Okay, so, and I'm sure next meeting when Judy's feeling better, she'll give you her recap of the meeting. It was so good. She just did a great job. So new business, setting a meeting calendar. How often do we want to meet? Do we want to have interim meetings in smaller groups? Anyone?
How does it work with subcommittees?
Well, finance meets every week. ACC meets every 2 weeks. Entity meets once a month.
DRC means once a month.
Who is?
DRC, document review.
Document review. So once a month, I would say either once a month and then we can do, if we have projects we're working on in small groups. We have 5 on the committee, so 3 will create a forum. So we can work in groups of 2 offline without having to announce anything.
Okay.
So is 1 month looking good?
Can you tell, I mean, can we, I don't know that the committee is set forth like it's, you know, it's agenda in terms of like order of priority. And I think there's so much to do. I might put forth that in the beginning, we do twice a month just to structure what it is we want to work on. Because there's literally so much groundwork to lay, not having had this committee or an active emergency response committee in Sudden Valley for so long.
So we're saying like maybe the next meeting would be June 20th in 2 weeks.
That would be my suggestion, but I don't know what everyone else thinks.
I like your suggestion a lot, and I'm available for that.
Why don't we do that now? And then if we find that we're just not having enough as we go on, then we can always, and what we could do is we have with our GM search committee, we do set a meeting every week, but if we don't need it, we just don't have it, and it just is marked as unnecessary. So about 20th, I can do as well.
I could do the 20th. It's that
So-
Thursday.
Yeah. Is Thursday a better day for everybody, or we initially were looking at Tuesdays? Is Thursday or Tuesdays a better day for everybody, or does it not matter?
We
Well,
could do
that particular week, it would be better for those. I mean, I think I'm the only one with elementary age kiddos, but school lets out on the 17th, 18th. So if the 20th would be better just because that's our half day.
Yeah. Ted, how about you? 20th okay for you? You're on mute.
Can't hear him. Is there a way to unmute him? No.
It's the same spot as where your video was. They're right beside each other. Morgan can probably unmute him.
He looks unmuted. So if he's not working, if your sound isn't working, it's because you've selected the wrong microphone. Nope, still nothing.
Check your
Because-
computer volume. Maybe your computer volume is, oh, now you're muted.
Yeah, I muted him to unmute him. Now, do you see what I'm saying? Like, okay,
Yeah,
now
yeah, no, I know, yeah.
unmute Ed. Ted, we're calling you Ted, right? Nope, still muted.
Can you
Oh,
no, he's unmuted.
eh. Ask to, I'm unmuting you.
No.
Someone text him.
He
What's-
may be connected to a
Oh, he's
Bluetooth or
putting
his
it-
Yeah.
headphones. Yeah,
Put
there
it
we
on
go.
back, and I bet it's the sound.
It's,
source.
yeah, it's a sound
Yeah.
thing. So you guys talking about Thursday, the 20th of this
Yes.
month, June?
Yes.
Okay, I would only caution you that, if you do it, schedule your meetings alternating on weeks when the board meets on Thursday.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's a board meeting, right?
right, the board
Next week's
meeting is
board
the
meeting.
27th. So the
Yes.
20th is good.
And of course, this is all, just note during the month of June and July, if there, anything comes up with the GM search that requires us to meet, the board to meet on the evening and Thursday evening, we may have to. You jumble that around a little bit.
Is it at currently at 3 o'clock then on the 20th?
Yes.
Okay.
For now, we'll schedule it for that and have less confusion this time somehow.
We'll get it. So now Morgan knows 20th at
Yeah.
3. Okay, great. And then we'll take it from there. We'll see where we're at. And if we need to go 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, or 1 month in subcommittees, things
Yeah.
like that. So something I wanted to go over is our what we are, what we're supposed to be doing, and what type of committee we're considered by the board. So the board of directors, and Tammy, please, or anyone, please correct me if I say something wrong here. So the board of directors voted to allow the safety committee to be formed as an ad hoc committee. With that, the biggest thing that means is that we're not a permanent committee, and our charter will expire at the annual general meeting. To become a permanent committee, that has to be done by a vote of the membership and a bylaw change, correct, Tammy?
By the membership, I don't know if it means a bylaw change. That would be a Linda Bradley question.
So
But
we'll
I
just-
think it has to go to the community to make it a permanent, I believe.
So that would be put on the ballot.
Yeah, it's either that, or is it just a vote of the board? That's
I
one of
don't-
the,
I
been
think
so long.
we'll ask Linda. So let's just go right now, because I believe.
I believe it's a vote of the membership.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought too, but we'll find out for sure. But let's just operate right now under the assumption that we need to convince the membership to keep us on. With that said, I hope that they will. I hope that they understand the importance of this. So I'm just gonna read, I'm not gonna read all the therefores, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, but I'm gonna read our resolution. So that the purpose of the safety committee is to educate community members regarding various aspects of community and personal safety. Okay? We aren't implementing it, we are educating them. So our membership is the Sudden Valley Community Association. You have to be a voting member, you must be in good standing, so that's blah blah blah. Meeting procedures, we're gonna meet a minimum of 4 times during the year. We're going to go ahead and meet that, and then we must follow all rules under Robert's Rules of Order. So we'll be posting agendas. We will be putting out minutes. Our meetings will be recorded, and as we've already established, we'd like to open it up to our meetings up to the membership. Let's see. So going over our deliverables. Do you, how many, on yours, Timey, how many, I had a little email problem today with my board email, so I'm getting, my documents has been very hard. And I pulled one up, Timey said to me, Timey, how many deliverables do you have on your copy?
3.
Okay, so that's what I have too. So our specific duties and responsibilities are to arrange wildfire preparedness presentation by local experts. Judy accomplished that, so we have 1 out of 3 already done. That puts us out in a really good standing. And then the second is to educate residents on various aspects of emergency preparedness and offer recommendations. And then the third deliverable is form a volunteer traffic safety group for school bus stops in Sudden Valley events. And that doesn't mean that's all we can do, but those are our deliverables that we went to the board with saying, hey, there's a need for these 3 things, and the safety committee can deliver it. The more we go above and beyond, the better, we're going to show that we're a needed committee. And in case you guys haven't noticed, I don't like being the chair of committees. I don't like leading committees at all. So if anyone wants to help me out and jump in, I know Timey and I have to be a committee chair, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to be the ones leading the committee. If anyone else wants to take over next time, just let me know. So looking at number 2, educate residents on various aspects of emergency preparedness and other recommendations. So do we all want to work on these, or does anyone have, I mean, I know this is something Judy feels very strongly about.
I'm on that committee, subcommittee.
Yes. Is anyone, I mean, Ted or Colleen, emergency preparedness, is that something you're passionate about, or do you feel more passionate about, safety in the community?
I'm going through the community emergency response training right now. So along with the other, going through CERT right now. And so there's a whole lot of content that I think we can share with the community. And there's a whole lot I think that we need, like, and I'm hoping that there will be a newly formed CERT team come from this training. We have over 20 people training right now that are from Sudden Valley. Now, whether they have to, do the final 4 classes and the background check to become a certified emergency worker.
What class are you on? Have you just started, or is it?
No, we're on unit 5. We're on the 5th week, so we have 3 more weeks of training. So we're going to have potentially a very robust size CERT team if we organize ourselves, but that will require, like, the new deputy director of emergency management, the last one, did not, is supposed to, for each area, designate a CERT location, like a meetup place for emergencies. He is not, the last person in that position did not fulfill that. So we have this space to make recommendations on that. And I think that's something that our committee could do.
So who's the current?
So I would have to get his name. If you talk to Doug, he will have his name. He stopped in on our first meeting. But this is his charge. He is supposed to do that, but we have this opportunity to make suggestions. And what we are coming to from our CERT training is that in an emergency, because of our geographic variances, we're, just having one place like where the CERT trailer is right now is probably not going to be enough. We're going to probably have to designate various locations.
So I went through CERT training pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And I've been CERT. So I'm still active. and
Yeah.
so active. And I don't know, so when we went through, it was like, and again, we're not taking the place of CERT, this committee is not, but it's really good to have some of that information, you know, the information that's given in there to help us prepare the community. But
Yeah.
if there was an emergency here, our CERT team would not be the one called up. Because it's going to be CERT teams from out of the area. Because remember, your first is your family. And all of our CERT teams, most of the members or enough of the members have families here. You're going to protect your own. And from being in an emergency where we had no water, no power, and it took 5 days for the National Guard to get to us, you don't have time to help anyone else. So we're going to have, if there's an emergency here, we're going to rely on people from outside of the area to come in. And if they can't get in, then we all have to form together as a community. CERT is going to help, but it's not going to be the solution. And
So I would ask that Doug maybe come and speak during one of our meetings, because and what I'm getting from the sheriff's office and everyone who's come to do the trainings is that, yes, we will need outside, but
yeah,
they're encouraging us as the best way to be safe is to
and this really is sparkling water. There's nothing in it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm hearing something different from our trainers and from
we
the
are different
county.
too in training, but just in actuality, training is awesome. What really happens in the real world is completely and totally different. So I don't know that we need to have him come and speak here because we're not CERT. We're actually providing a completely different purpose. We're not trying, this committee cannot try to be first responders. This committee cannot try to give instruction. That's where the other committees all failed. And that's why that's why we've been without any kind of emergency preparedness committee at all. We have to be very, very, very careful that we don't step the line into operations and that we don't cross the line into where we are giving information that shouldn't come from a community member, but should come from the officials. So if we want to arrange Doug to come and do a presentation to the community, that is definitely something where it would be our responsibility, of the committee, to go ahead and arrange for that meeting to come in. But we aren't going to be delivering any of that information to the community. That cannot be our spot. Okay, remember, this is a committee that is kind of like the emergency preparedness committee of the past, but there's a reason those committees didn't make it. And it can evolve into something later on, possibly, but right now we have to just be very, very clear what our objectives are and what our deliverables are, and that we don't cross the line. Otherwise, there will be no hope whatsoever of this continuing on after this point. So we have to tread lightly and stay in our lane and provide a benefit to the community. Like the wildfire presentation that Judy put on, that we as the committee didn't say anything. We brought in the experts to say something. And so if we want to bring Doug in to do a presentation to the community, that would be great. We could possibly start, he might get enough volunteers for a second CERT team. He might give a basic, just like an overview of what CERT does. That would be a wonderful thing to bring in. But we can't, as a committee, say, this is what you should do. We can give out lists for go bags. We can write grants and raise money to purchase go bags to give to people, but we can't tell them how to use them. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense, but I think that's not, I'm more in line with do we have, it's the same in the strain of educating, like, can we bring in someone to come and talk? Judy and I attended the same meeting at the library system, and forgive me, the professional's name I'm going to forget, but he's been at all of our trainings. And he just teaches you how to map, right? Like mapping your community, like really simple this is how you can take this home with you and work with your neighbors.
Absolutely.
So,
That's exactly what we should be doing, is working to bring people in. And because we are an official committee, we don't have to pay to use the community center, the barn. And Joanne was awesome in the equipment that we used. For those that you don't know, that they actually rented a high quality projector, a high quality screen. We had the technology at that meeting, just as we have at at our AGM. So I think that shows that they are committed, that staff is committed to this committee, but we can't overstep what the committee is to do. This is an advisory committee. We don't have any authority, and we can't bind the association anything. But there's still so much good we can do. And absolutely, so is one of the things we want to do is to bring in local emergency experts, emergency preparedness experts. That would be great, even if we could set up a series, like we could have, and again, we're not going to ask the association to rent the projector and the screen every time, because that's not budgeted. If we're committing, we want to budget that for next year, that could be something we could ask. But as of right now, we can't expect that same, but we're probably not going to get the same response from everyone if we do it as a series. But I think it's something we really could do if we wanted to do a local series. And maybe we wouldn't need as high, something as big as the barn. Maybe if it's a smaller groups, we could do it in the one of the rooms. But I think that's a great idea, Colleen, to bring in.
are we able to put forth, is it in our lane to put forth, and I hear you saying this, but I want to clarify, suggestions to the association. So like, here's a resource that we have found as a committee, and we find that this would be beneficial. We want to put this forth to the GM and the board. Like, is that
I don't think
something?
there's a problem with that, Timmy, do you?
No, especially once we can't just kind of go, well, here's a resource, maybe we need to look into it a little bit. And why we want to present this information and what they're going to give us. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Committees get information together and then they bring it to the board, and the board can make a decision on a recommendation from a committee.
And I think you have the support of most, if not all, most of the board. Most of the board. Well, I'm trying to think, didn't the committee passed unanimously, didn't it, Timmy? Eventually? Or was it
I
one?
remember.
But there is support of the board. It's not an
Mhm.
uphill. So there is support for this committee. So
Mhm.
definitely anything we want to bring forth as a recommendation or a suggestion, we can do that. The board will not approve any actions by the committee to become or to take the place of, first responder.
Absolutely.
Trying
And
to. Not that
are
we-
we, so I sent you and Timey, the chair members, the email from the tree service, the certified tree service for the long-term mitigation.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
get that one.
So,
Saw that you sent it, Colleen, but I
Yeah.
haven't been able to get it.
okay, so what I wanted to put forth, and I think everyone here, I'm preaching to the choir. But I have spent, I did my due diligence and some research, and I was looking for, because I was going through what Judy had put forth in the email. And but I think we need to put one foot before the other. And I don't think we would have, I think at some point in Sudden Valley, we had a relationship. If one of our main concerns is wildfire, like emergency prevention, or emergency preparedness, et cetera, I really want to get in, into the lane of prevention. And when people come and talk to me because they've heard there's a safety committee, people in our CERT class, and they're just like, what about these trees? What about the forest? You know, you hear this over and over and over again. And I don't know the percentage of what is Sudden Valley owned and what is privately owned in terms of our green space and our forest. But I think before all else, one of our greatest risks being wildfire, we need to have a professional, science-based, long-term environment mitigation practice set in place. And so I found a resource of this company that is ISA certified, arborist team who already manages another HOA's trees. Like they go in, they evaluate periodically, they remove, they have a plan in place. It is a methodical process, and that their green spaces are monitored. And they also, that same company manages golf courses. I mean, there couldn't be a better fit in terms of like licensed, certified arborists who can come in, look at us as a whole, look at the entirety of Sudden Valley and all of our risk factors in terms of our trees and our, you know, forest floors, et cetera, and then make a plan, a short-term plan, a long-term plan, and then periodically monitor. Meaning we have trees fall down, things change all the time. And I really feel like the association needs to think as we come into budget season, like what is a primary step that would make the biggest impact in our safety? And that is, you know, I really feel like that's what I'm hearing from the community. And scientifically and in terms of statistics, like we know that wildfire risk is only increasing every year. And we have a lot of unmanaged forests and green space.
Mhm.
And so,
Tammy had a question.
Yeah, well, there's, I mean, and that's all really great, but there's like just a couple of things we have to remember. That first of all, company like that, at this point, there's no budget. We're already, as you've heard from some of the meetings, you've already had to approve more more money rather for hazard trees. We're spending a lot already trying to take care of the ones we have. And then of course, there's the ones on the trees on properties that are owned privately, that we can't send somebody onto that property. We have to try to, and some of those people, I mean, we can try to get them to deal with their trees, but that is one of the things that is hard for the association to deal with. I mean, I think talking to that company, but we have to kind of think, how much are they going to charge us? Do we have the funds for it? And if not, then I think we need to go back to the education part of it. Try to get people to do what they can within their own properties. And if they do see something on a neighbor's property that they know isn't Sudden Valley, to try to contact them. But there's just, we got to be careful with jumping into trying to bring this company on, because that could be very expensive.
And Judy, correct-
I want to say, just in terms of cost, and I know we're like looking at the now, but having foresight, I spent the morning talking to one of our State Farm insurance agents who lives right here in Sudden Valley, who had just gotten off the phone with underwriting. So there's another, this ties in here because we are looking at a future unprecedented issues with homeowners having their insurance dropped because of risk factors. They paused all of these policies, and this is State Farm, one of the largest insurers. But across the board, the insurance companies are changing back over to what they were going to put in place in 2020. The government said, no, we need people in their homes. You can't do these increases. You can't cancel policies, but that is moving forward. They are doing aerial photos. So if you look at a house in Sudden Valley, and if they're being evaluated for insurance and risk factors by an aerial photo, in terms of where the trees are, et cetera, like we're going to be in a we're gonna be in, this is a big financial issue for our residents. And maintaining, we're seeing policies being dropped. We're gonna see rates climbing. I mean, it's on the table. It's coming. And Sudden Valley can act. And that's why I'm putting forth, like, here's a professional entity. Yes, we're getting rid of trees. Yes, we have an arborist on staff. I don't know who's who deciding what is what, but looking at an overall, at the overall picture and methodically monitoring and removing, or saying, that's not a priority, let's do this, or that doesn't have to really come down, but like having a company that actually already manages large spaces of forestry rather than just tree removal companies and a single entity evaluating. This is a very complex thing. And if we're talking about our bottom line, like what's coming down the line, what's already happening for Sudden Valley residents, I think the association could help mitigate what's going to happen here.
So Colleen, in the Firewise meeting, and Judy, just
Sorry.
butt in if you can. I believe a very, very similar service to what you're talking about, at least on the evaluation part, is offered as a free service to any homeowner who wants to get a group together. Let's say I'm on my street and the street is a natural fire break. So if I had like myself and my neighbors on both sides of me, and then up over the hill, so it's a different street, but our backyards meet together. Like if we had a group of 6 houses and that would be an area, they would come in and do the evaluation for free, for no cost. And that was open to any homeowner who wanted to take advantage of that. So us putting that, re-putting the information out there for homeowners, we just spent, or just approved a couple months ago, an additional $55,000 for removal of trees. Even if we had a company come in, they couldn't just, we can't force homeowners to take trees down. And you have to get permission from the county. You can't just remove a tree on your property. It's not just Sudden Valley standing in the way, it's the county as well. And I think I think that's just biting off way more than the association can chew. If we want to bring that up again when we have a new GM, but I will tell you right now, I don't think the board would approve additional spending for something where we couldn't, we can't properly evaluate the return on that, because you can't, like, so they come and use me as the bad guy. They told me I needed to do this and this and this and this and this. I could say no. And the association cannot pay for something on a private property. Like association can't pay a contractor to come into a private person's lot. We just can't do that.
So I'm not in the range of talking about private lots. This is more about what the association can be responsible for and what it owns. It's
Yeah, well, the association does have a proactive, they are proactive with evaluating their own green space. And they are regulated also by the county. We're different than a homeowner association that might not be in a watershed as well.
So the insurance agent also, like we were discussing, I said, well, because underwriting is going to start, like I said, like people's policies are either going to get dropped and non-renewed because of new zoning and what we look like out here in terms of risk. But if the association puts onto the website and publishes like, okay, we have these licensed ISA arborists monitoring our green spaces, a map of, I had one neighbor who Progressive was about to drop them, and he found the map of all of our fire hydrants. And he put forth the map of our fire hydrants to his agent, and they allowed him to renew his policy. I don't know how long that will last, but if the association has a purposeful, like, here's how we mitigate wildfire risk, and put that forth to the community and on the website, very easy again for these underwriting's looking at like, what is our risk factor here? And we are now in a different category.
Now asking the association to come up with a plan on wildfire mitigation is something that this committee could help with.
Yeah.
Spending money is probably, you know, we could come up with a wildfire mitigation plan without spending any money.
No, one of the things that I was gonna bring up is, and putting things on the website is great for people to have that information. It does show we are being proactive. And that shows that Sudden Valley is involved in it too. But I was thinking we have the Valley Fair coming up. And if we want to do some information, make that available to homeowners. Like, you know, Lori, if we had the number for that group that's willing to come and take a look at your property. We had some other information that explains what the insurance companies are looking at. If we had a booth and we had different things and we showed people, what can you do to keep your property safe? You know, maybe we put it in 1 or 2 simple pamphlets. And that's a good start, because if individuals are learning how to keep their properties safer, then they tell their neighbors how to keep it safer. And, you know, you partner with Sudden Valley, and that kind of goes with our purpose of education, because we really can't do, you know, bring in this company at this point anyway. You know, we gotta, you know, all of these things would be wonderful if we could do them, but we need to sort of start small and build, or it's going to get away from us. So I think, you know, getting on the website's great, getting a booth at the Valley Fair, and, you know, making it an interesting place for people to come to, bringing people in to talk. These are all things that is within our scope.
And speaking of the Valley Fair, is anyone available to, we do have a booth at the Valley Fair, correct, Taimi?
I don't know if there's one officially, but Morgan, or do you know that, Colleen, do you know that we do?
We have a Sudden Valley informational booth planned, and you could certainly go into that booth. Or if you wanted to have your own like safety committee booth, I have space for a booth, so you could do that.
Okay, so Morgan, thanks for jumping in on that. So Max is doing the information booth,
Yes,
right?
yes.
He'd be a good one to steal for our booth, because he's
No, you can't steal Max. No, but you could sit next to Max.
Well,
in the
there you
thing.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
we could share their booth, or we could have our own booth next to them.
Exactly.
Morgan, can you put my booth next to the safety booth?
I believe so.
I can maybe help, but I
can go
have my
back
own.
and forth. Yeah, she has her own booth.
Oh, you have your own
But,
booth?
well, I plan on putting you next to the Valley Arts Group, Colleen. So
Well, that
how
too,
many
I don't
committees
know.
are you going to help out?
I don't know. I'm gonna try and do it all.
Well, I'll be there. I can be there all day. I have no commitment that day.
I
What-
do. I'm going to
what
be
is
at
the-
the Valley Fair, so
What is the date
I
again?
help with the booth.
What is the date?
July 13th,
Yeah.
July 13th. Okay.
10 to 3.
You know,
I'd like to have some thoughts on the fire issue in terms of the trees. One thought is that I think, Melanie, sure that our list of hazardous trees that we currently have is accurate and up to date. Because, I mean, I just found out that a few weeks ago, it was thought that there was a very expensive tree that would needed to come down that already had been dropped. And so that money could be spent elsewhere. So I think what we need to do is make sure that it's audited carefully to see if the trees on that list are truly hazardous and how long they've been on that list. And they're all, of course, HOA property trees. Nothing's on private property, but let's make sure that list is accurate. And then let's make one of our goals, finding a way to get them all down. And then from then on, trying to just keep up, because that's going to be a challenge as well. But some people have told me there've been trees that on HOA property that they've had on that list for years. And What does that mean? That how are they getting bumped? What's going on? How did those trees ever get there? Are they really hazardous? Hazardous means safety. If they're not safe, that means they're going to drop on somebody's head and kill them. And I don't want to be that person. And I don't know
Well,
anybody's going to want to volunteer.
That's something, Tammy, that we can just ask Joanne.
Yeah, we need to find out for sure and if Joanne's, I'm sure, is super busy and so is her staff, we could evaluate it just as a committee in the sense of, if you tell me there's one on Midnight Court, I know right where it is. You know what I mean? It's like we could help sort out if those trees still even exist vertically or if they've dropped. There were two, I believe, on the list. One I had taken down at my expense in the lot next door, and one dropped. Is the dropped one still showing on the list? That would be important to know.
I don't have an answer for that. But we can ask Joanne. She has a spreadsheet.
Okay, well, we want to make sure that it's accurate because that will give us a sense of really, and the costs. I know when I evaluated having 3 alders that were right on the border taken down a few weeks ago, there was a huge cost difference between the two different well-liked and well-thought and well-experienced tree people. And there was a big difference in price. So
Not
there's
AA
that
tree
issue
service.
involved as well. Yeah.
So that was the other thing, Judy, was that and I'm going to send you the email that I sent to the chair members. But this third party, they have, what I'm concerned about is that the same people who are evaluating what we need to take down are the people who are taking it down. So there's a conflict of interest in general with most of these companies. The arborist service team that I had sent over, they safeguard that conflict of interest by hiring a third party to do the evaluation. So they want to show that, like, hey, we're not just taking down trees because we're going to get, we're not going to evaluate that tree as hazardous because we want to make money off of it. And that's what I want to know is we say they, or we have this chart, like who's evaluating? Are the same people evaluating getting paid to take down the trees they're marking as hazardous, or
Don't
is there
So Rawls Tree Services, who takes down our trees, I've seen invoices paid to arborists as well.
Okay, I just wanted, because I had one of the entities I contact said the people that Sudden Valley are using are not certified arborists that are evaluating the trees, and that made me a little concerned.
I think one is and one isn't, and I don't know about others than the two I know. And one is certified and one is not. And I've used them both and they're both great, but one is an arborist. The other thought I would like to share before I lose it, I had on my notes that I emailed to at least some of you, was about the idea of what we need a guy to drop the tree. We need him to climb up the tree and cut it down. We don't need them to carry it off. We could wait on that. We just need them down. A tree lying on the ground is not a danger, except for the fire issue. And that can be handled differently other than paying somebody to chip it and take it away. So if we save some money, even a few $1,000s can make a difference. Save some money, get more trees down, just get them down. Because I'm not afraid of driving by a horizontal dropped tree. I am afraid of driving by one that I know is certified to come down on my head anytime. And I think that's what we need to focus on. How do we use that limited money we have the most effectively?
I guess it would depend too on how much money are you saving by not removing that tree, because they do take the trees and they do get some money for them to be used as lumber. So there is a little bit of, that offsets some of the cost of taking it away. And the other thing, Colleen, with that company you're discussing, I guess we would need to also know if we're looking at using them for in the future. We'd have to know if we're going to budget for something like that. We'd have to have some idea of how much would that cost the association, what value will we get for that dollars.
And we would most likely need 1 or 2 other companies
Right, we have the three rule, got that, but I just feel like, I
Plus, there
think it's-
aren't 3 companies that do that.
I do not think that there are, I have not found any other company that is already servicing an HOA and a golf club. Like,
Which HOA and golf club are they servicing?
it's in the email, Cedar Grove HOA. And so they use Urban Forestry Services that come in, that's their third party that comes in and does the evaluation. And, you know, and then they do Bellingham Golf and Country Club. They monitor with in conjunction with their maintenance service. So this is what I'm saying is like, this isn't just taking down trees. This is like science-based, you know, just to play the Lorax here, like safety is not about taking down all of our trees. But, and also the forest floor in terms of wildfire, like it does matter. And that's why having like scientists who are experienced in this forest management are necessary in the long-term mitigation plan. And I think can offset costs by, you know, saying that's not necessary. This is more of a risk over here, but having people who already manage forests, such as our own, and the golf course, you know, I couldn't have found a better match. So I'm putting forth that be a conversation to be had, and I'd like to connect the association and make that suggestion, like, to start a discussion for future, because I do feel like most of these companies doing the evaluation do have a conflict of interest.
Do you have a ballpark figure? Did they talk?
No, nope, and that's
So
not,
it
we
could be
even,
$5,000, it could be 500,000.
That's what I was
Right,
kind of getting at, but
but
you need to know exactly, like, kind of get some sort of a ballpark figure to see if it's something that the association can even consider, you know, in the next budget year.
so that would, you know, that conversation, you know, I don't know if it's the GM, but they are happy to begin that conversation to talk about like, what is that cost for regular monitoring and management? Because our tree situation, every storm changes, you know, our forests are always evolving. And I think it's a lot of assurance for residents, as well as, you know, mitigating risk factors for the association's liability on their property. So I think the cost analysis is going to be worth looking at.
So,
Just throwing this out there, Colleen, because it seems like you've talked to a lot of the community members about this. Do you think community members are so concerned about this that they're willing to pay extra dues in order to have this done in the community green space?
I'm going to say that I would personally like to see more strategic budgeting.
That's a different
yeah.
discussion than the finance.
Before talking about raising dues, but as
Next finance committee is operations. If you would like to join us, you're welcome.
so
yeah,
I guess
there's a lot of interplay here,
Yeah.
right?
So, I mean, I think this is a really interesting, you know, thing to look at, but you know, we need to get back to what we can actually do now. And I think as interesting as this conversation is, we need to kind of decide where we want to go forward in the next short term. So I guess we've decided we want to have a booth at the Valley Fair. And then I thought like there was a couple things that were really easy to do. Like I think it was on yours, Judy. We're, you know, putting some posters in, which I'm sure that, you know, we could get you know, permission from, speaking for Joanne. But doing things like putting posters up in you know, outside El Agave there, and on the board by golf or wherever, you know, in the community center. I think there's lots of things that we can do to educate, get things started. And I think, you know, Colleen, with your, you know, school's almost over, but I think a really good thing to focus on, and this is just me, so you guys can, you know, you can totally tell me to, you know, you don't think my priorities are good. So, you know, for next year, we want to make sure, you know, the kids getting back and forth to the school bus. I mean, I think that's something we can work on really quite quickly. Joanne said that she would provide signs. Can we start looking at getting people that are willing to volunteer for next year? Like, you know, I'll take Mondays and Tuesdays if you take Friday, and this person will take whatever, and get out there and kind of be there for our kids and grandkids. You know,
Yes.
So that's where I brought in the Target Zero traffic safety person.
yeah, Joanne
And
mentioned that today.
yeah, and Joanne was, this is months ago, supposed to be communicating with them because it's an education campaign. That's what it is. It's an education campaign that would be put forth by the association. Having been on the communications committee, the best way, and I know posters sound nice, but the most effective way that's quantifiable, like we can see how many people open these emails, is going to be e-blast. Like that is by far our most effective, farthest reaching form of communication with our community. So not that I'm poo-pooing posters, I'm just saying the most bang for our buck without spending money on things that are maybe not as efficient, and not as widely read. And that goes for the traffic safety as well. Like we need an ongoing campaign of awareness, and that department, that person that I connected her with, has the whole thing laid out, like suggestions, how this kind of education campaign can be put forth to the community, what to focus on. So I do have part of a, suggestion on signage, because I measured, we have like an 8-inch speed sign that on Sudden Valley Drive, like 15 miles an hour. It's so small on this giant post that it's ineffective. But having crosswalks, I sent you guys an email, I think to the board, about getting the Whatcom Transit Authority to, they're putting in an ADA right there at the entrance of gate 2, where people stand at the bus stop. I had gone to them and said, hey, can we get a shelter? Because there are people hiding under trees in storms and snow and rain and heat. And so they were very open to, hey, we were going to put in a ramp there anyway. We could certainly consider putting in a shelter. And I connected Joanne with them, but I just want I want to follow up with that. If, kind of, if you guys could ask like what happened with the shelter.
Did talk to her about that today, and she is trying to do that. She's got a very full plate, but she specifically mentioned Target Zero today, as we were there at the Welcome Center and talking to her. So she has not forgotten about that. She is trying to work on that. So but it's like putting out a lot of fires and working on a lot of things. But she did say that she wanted to do that.
And you are right. Like I'll tell you, I stand at gate 9. I wave to me, anybody who passes, but in the morning, and I will see people flying down Polo Park. And when they see someone just stand, like an adult standing at a bus stop, I watch them slow down. Right. You can see that people are much more aware when there is like an adult at the bus stop. Like, and if we say like, hey, like we have these monitors at bus stops, making sure things are safe and making sure that like people are not passing the paddles. I mean, that's like all of these things, just having the presence of someone there really does make a difference in how aware people are.
And we just to let you know, Joanne did give us a little update, the executive team, that she had made contact with the sheriff's department to see if there's any way we could get them to come in and patrol. We gave them permission, but I think Timmy followed up with them, and the answer to that was no.
At this point, yeah, there is an RCW that Linda sent me that they could possibly do an agreement with the sheriff's department. But the problem is, speaking with them, we're so far out, it's just they don't have the resources to come and patrol here. But like having parents out there with signs, like you said, someone will see that you're being watched. They know the kids aren't really paying attention, but hey, it's like that same car is speeding down there. And, you know, we are trying to, Joanna is more and more trying to get compliance. You know, she's been sending out letters on certain things, but, you know.
Well, if
needs to
if they just got
expand.
an e-blast, if they just got an e-blast about traffic speed and safety and bus stops, and then they're driving and they see someone standing there, like this is
Yeah.
all kind of, you know, layering
Yeah.
of.
Dude, has anyone ever seen driving up by Geneva, having the sheriff just like jump out and stand right in front of a car and pull him over?
Yeah, that's the Canadian way they do it. They jump out and hope not to get hit.
I don't know if I'd dip out in front of a car around here, but I think it's good. So, I mean, really, and this is a good target for us. So, a target to have a group of volunteers would be the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
Gives us some time to really put that together, to work with Joanne, and maybe Joanne would feel confident enough. We'd have to ask her of tasking this committee with talking with Target Zero, you know, and taking that off of her plate. That is strictly really operations. So we can ask her, she can say yes, she can say no. Even the board does not get involved with operations of the association either. I mean, that is not the scope of the board. We're oversight only. So
So what's put out on the e-blast, like, because Target Zero would be really like regular, every, you know, periodic e-blast, like that would be staff
and that doesn't cost
creating
anything.
it. No,
Yeah, so we could definitely bring that up. So so you're really passionate about this, Colleen, right?
I mean, yes,
yes.
I would like our kids not to get hit, and and I want everyone to be safe, yes.
So we can form a small group that can work on that. It can only be two. No, Timmy, if we have a 6-person, our majority are we need 4 then to create a quorum, correct?
Usually you don't have an even number, so it kind of makes it.
Yeah.
6 would be, 3 would be.
I think when we
So
had,
6,
I
3
think
would be a
when
quorum.
I
But we
think,
have at least 3 people. I was just given another name that wants to be on the safety committee.
okay,
I'm sure she won't mind if I tell her. Apparently Barbara Wally would like to be on the
oh, that's
safety
awesome.
committee.
That's awesome.
And there was another, Judy, you
I
had
shared,
another name.
I shared 2 names with you.
Yeah,
That I got from the October, from the 15th.
yeah, so we need to,
Yeah, but
So
we
then we could
nobody
have-
knows
this is-
how to- apparently the application doesn't include the safety committee on it. And so they can't apply because there's no way to do it with the current system. So how do they do it instead? Asked that this morning.
Have them just put, I think they could, is there a free form where they can write on it?
All I know is she said there's nothing on there that allows her to choose the safety committee.
just have to write it in if there's not an option.
Do they turn it in paper? Do they turn it in online?
Online, isn't it? But they
It's
could,
not, it's online, and that field is, you know, they're predefined, but there's also a link to a paper form, and you could print out the paper form and then just write in there that you want to be on the safety committee, and then just drop that off at the Welcome Center.
and I think the main purpose of that too, Morgan, if you're still there, is that allows Joanne to check to make sure they're in good standing so they can be a voting member on a committee.
Right, we would check that before.
That's really, is that the only thing you do with them? And then you just pass them on?
And then we pass them on to the committee.
Yeah.
So if you had names and you were interested, you could draft an email and say to Joanne, we're interested in having these 3 people on the safety committee. Can you check their standing with it?
And we know Barbara Wally is already in
Right,
good standing
she's on
'cause
the long range
committee.
planning committee.
So
Yeah.
that could be easy. So if we could, because working in a group of 3 can be much more effective than working in a group of 2.
Yeah.
So if we could get 3, and I have a feeling that Barbara Wally would love to be on the safety around children. She seems
Yeah.
very passionate about that. Timmy?
Yeah,
think
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
And-
so we'll reach out to her, or Tammy, you can reach out to her and see if that's.
Yeah, I have to reach out to her on something anyway, so.
Yeah, and then we could just put her name forth, Thursday.
could
Yes,
we do all three on Thursday?
yes.
Why not try to get all three by then? So we
Okay,
can-
why don't you email those two names to Lori and I, because Lori, you're not going to be there in person, so
Not
I
gonna be
can
there in person.
so I can put them forward because it's a little bit harder for you being we don't know what your Wi-Fi is going to be like, so I can put those
Yeah.
3 names forward.
And I think we only have 7 in our charter, right?
Did we put a number? I have to look at it now. It's been so long, so long
I
since
know, I'm
we
looking
did
for
that.
here.
Or did I just? Okay, I've moved. I got too many pieces of paper. I just had it in my hand and looked at it.
I'll look on the website too. It doesn't say, it does not say a number.
Okay. Oh, here it is.
Oh, wait, no, it does. Minimum, it says a minimum of 3 members, but not more than 7 voting members. Now remember, voting just means if we vote on something, they can vote. That doesn't mean they can't participate. So
Mhm.
we would need 2 more voting and unlimited number of, you know, to
Volunteer.
yeah, to participate.
Yeah.
They can
Can
be
I
on
ask-
subcommittees.
can we structure, like, I think it's great to invite the community in to our meetings for conversation. Do we want to structure that like you do, like at the board meeting, like, come on in the first 15 minutes, or, you know, how do
Really
we want,
kind of up to us.
or, I mean, just let them chime in, or like, like, do we want to give them a specific, because most people have something very specific they want to talk about. So,
And we
Yeah.
could certainly have something like, if you want to participate in the meeting, please put your name forward no later than such and such date, and that could be included. You know, so we would know what they would be included on the agenda. Because we don't want this to be, you know, Girls Gone Wild or anything.
no,
Or
no,
Ted
there's
Ted's trying to say something. Can we?
Ted, talk, Ted.
Is it am I coming through?
Yay!
You are.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, with respect to having other people come in, if they put their name and that sort of stuff down, maybe they should also put down what topic in particular they would like to discuss, so that we can structure our meeting in terms of when we want to get into it, or whether it's something that's just not going to work for that particular meeting, or however we want to deal with the discussion. The other part of it is that one of the ground rules probably should be that if we have people who were non-voting members come in, that we welcome them to come. We want to hear what they've got to say, but we want to kind of keep the topics going on a course, so that if somebody comes in and says, well, I want to talk about C, D, and F, but we're still talking about A, B, and C, that they need to wait until we get the C, D, and F in the discussion.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, things will get off track in a hurry.
It would have to be like, if they were, if they wanted to bring something up, that they would actually be on the agenda. And we could still have the, you know, like anyone could come in and speak for their 3 minutes. And then we could have another section where it's, you know, community member comments, and we could have community member presentations if they wanted to say something, and we could give them a longer time. You know, we tell them, okay, but we only have, you know, 10 minutes instead of the 3. And then if we're discussing something, like say when we're discussing the school bus stops, for example, they could participate. We could have them on a mute, and if they and Morgan knows about this because she's controlling it, and honestly, the staff, Morgan's been here answering our questions. That's great, but really the only thing they're required to do is to hit start recording and stop recording. They don't need to be here answering our questions and everything. But I don't know how difficult it would be if she could teach us, or if if he's willing or whatever, to mute and unmute people. I mean, if they're not playing by the rules, we could just mute them and not let them talk anymore.
Can we ask for, like in communications, we had our own email. And so when community members, like we did pet of the month or whatever, like, so when people would want to send us like their dog or whatever, their pet of the month thing, it would come through to everyone. So it was an email set up. So if we could do safety@suddenvalley.com or safety.com, I mean, whatever, but that way we could all, like the community could put forth, we could say, hey, email our committee, and then we can decide like how many people we can fit on the agenda. This is what they want to talk about. It's appropriate for what we're doing this week or whatever. But that would be a way to direct it. So it's not just getting random messages or people popping in. We could say, email us and, right?
Say, Tammy, do you know if that's a possibility?
Well, I think so, because I know I have, appeals committee, there's, appeals@suddenvalley.com, and that comes into, even though I'm the chair of it, they can send that directly to just appeals. So I'm sure, and Morgan, you would know better than me, but you can this is just an easy thing to set up, safety@suddenvalley.com, right?
Yeah, I can ask Spencer to do that.
Okay, there you go.
Awesome.
Right. So who would
Yeah,
have,
that's a good idea.
who would have access to reading that email?
We
Just
all
us.
could, right? We all could, right, Morgan?
I think Spencer can give you everybody access. Yeah.
Yeah,
We would just
that's how
need to
it works.
we would just have to have guidelines within the committee on who's answering what and when. So we don't have 7 people answering.
Well, you see, with communications, like everyone would see, like I would just have everybody on when I replied. So everyone knew that I replied to said member pet of the month. So
Yeah, reply all so that you know it's been answered, and maybe have our areas of expertise. You know,
Right.
I'm not gonna answer bus stop stuff and,
As long as it doesn't look like we're answering and stating policy or anything like
yeah, so we gotta be careful about
that.
that.
We have to be really careful.
we would just be like, okay, thank you.
That's
Thanks for your
great, yeah.
submission.
That's perfect.
And then we
That's the
talk,
best
and then
way. Yeah.
we can send an email. And we also have to be careful because we are not supposed to be making any decisions, right? Timing, we can have discussions, but we can't make decisions.
Well, we can make a decision to present it, but we can't
Present-
set policy or anything like that.
Right, without the public.
Yeah, we're gonna do this, well, we can't, yeah. We have to ask the board if it's okay to do this,
Yeah, so.
or Joanne or whoever.
So can the board say that, do we have to ask the board if we can have an email?
No,
Oh, no,
I think
no.
we're okay. I think we'll go on a limb on that one. I'll take the hit on that one if necessary.
I don't think the board wants to concern themselves with an email address.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
all right.
So just going back real quickly to the Valley Fair. I know, Tammy, you're in thick with that, aren't you?
I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
I've got Morgan and Kyle. So they're
So
gonna make me look good.
I can go ahead and maybe, unless anyone else wants to, work with Judy on like a go bag, unless between Colleen, Judy, and Ted, if you guys want to work, because I mean, really, Tammy and I are here, but this is a committee of the membership. So if 2 of you want to work on putting, like brochures together or information together for the booth, I'm there to fill in if there's only one other person who wants to do it. But if 2 of you want to take it on, you are not stepping on my toes at all by
Or
saying
mine.
I can go and take a nap and you guys
So are we inviting that entity who gives the free tree evaluations? Can we offer them a booth next to our safety booth?
That's
Uh,
the
can-
Firewise group that was here.
Yeah.
Um,
Can we offer them a free booth?
I don't
on
know
a
about,
Saturday.
I think they could just give us some information and have it at the
Yeah,
information.
and I think we
and
have
safety
some
table.
information, don't we, Judy, left over?
Like they can sign up, people can sign up for an evaluation. They can,
Let
Oh,
me-
yeah, oh, yeah, we could do that. Like, we could have a clipboard, and if, Lori, if you can tell us what company does that, or
I have
Judy,
to
you probably
go
have that too. And they could have a clipboard and you could sign up.
that would be
wouldn't a problem.
very popular. People would be excited to have a free evaluation of their property if they knew someone was gonna be at the fair. They would,
Yeah,
yes.
I think they want groups, don't they, Judy? They want like
Yeah, they,
not just a single property, but if you stood in your backyard and you looked around you and all the properties that connect to yours, that would be a group. They come in and evaluate the whole.
they do both. They do individual and then
Do
they
they
do.
do individual too? Okay.
They do groups because it's of course way more efficient. And then they would certify a group up to 20 homes as a certified Firewise community, which would go a long way for the insurance company issue.
That would be great. We could get, they don't even have to be there if we just have a sign up with them with the information of what they will do. And here's your sign up, we're asking if possible, get your neighbors to, and we can let people know ahead of time. Or even just give them the information and say, come back and sign up.
And you know what
Um,
would be neat is if we
no,
got
no.
one of our plat maps, like they have on the wall, just a little smaller version, and just mounted it on a board. And when they sign up, we could color in their lot.
But
They
what
could
are
have a
That would be
pin.
great.
what are
We
they
like
signing up,
pin
We like visual so that
what are
people
they
can
signing
see.
up for?
to have the evaluation of the property.
Oh,
Right.
we're not in charge of that. And I know that,
But then we can request
we
with
need
the
to-
company.
Maybe
Is-
they're saying, I'm in, I'm willing to let this happen.
I'm
Yeah.
interested. All they're saying
Yeah.
is I'm interested.
So
know
like,
it was very challenging to get the people to come for the May 15th event because it was not during a weekday. And this was, you're talking about 5 hours on a Saturday.
Oh,
and
no,
a-
no, they wouldn't even
No.
have to be there. They wouldn't have to
Oh.
be there.
Okay,
We
okay.
would
so
just
we
be
don't-
taking it, like, we would just be the go-between that if people wanted, and then we could, they could see any of their neighbors doing it, maybe we would just be coordinating, turning names over to these companies and then leaving it at that. We'd just be collecting information from people who are interested and maybe
Passing it on.
getting some groups together, some properties together. So instead of
yeah.
turning one name over, they could be in collaboration with their, we'll talk more about it.
And
Judy.
that large plat map, I think is a great idea if we had a big one and we could just say, for example, I think in our first safety, our Sudden Valley emergency preparedness meeting, whatever that initial meeting was, I had mentioned that like my neighborhood, like the 4 streets surrounding us, we already have our own Facebook group. We connect at different times of the year. But like if one of us signed up, then that area would be highlighted. Like let's say they do a group, right? And so someone else who comes can say, oh, look, they're coming
Yeah.
to my area. And so anyway, I think it would
Yeah, it's
show
kind of
that-
like an I'm in,
Yeah.
It's
I don't
like,
think we can
I'm
make
on
any,
board.
I don't think we can make any promises that when, who and when they can, it's Robert from Firewise who showed the video. He's the guy in his, I think there's 2 or 3 people and they spend like an hour at each place. So it's a huge commitment. And so we can't make any promises. It was really hard. He said they were really booked up just on presentation.
Mhm.
Trying to get them back out for anything would be really hard for the near future. So I don't think that all we can do, I think, is to give out these pamphlets and say, these are the people who you call if you want to connect on getting a home evaluation, because that's what they do.
I'll
Well-
go back and rewatch that part of the
Yeah.
presentation because he definitely said, if you want this done, let us know.
Yes,
and all you're
That's
saying,
all we're doing.
yes, but it's not going to
Could be
be.
next year.
Well, we could call him and ask him, is this something
Yeah.
that you'd be
That's
okay
right.
with us doing?
Yes.
You know, this is what we're thinking, get his input on it, and then, you know,
Okay, what I could do, how about I connect with Robert, because I've got a good rapport, and I say,
Okay.
"Here's, we got this fair, and we got a booth, and how can we um
Gather interest.
work together
Yeah.
for what you do for the home and neighborhood evaluations?"
Yeah,
Ask-
perfect.
ask him if he'd be interested in us getting a group of names that would be interested in passing it on to him. Like, see if if he says, don't do that, you know, it'd be nice for people to be able to sign up if he's willing. And if he says, don't do that, it's too much, then we don't do it.
Okay, I can ask them that, sure.
Yeah, and pamphlets only go so far in terms of like marketing. I mean, we can hand people things, right? But I think that showing like, hey, my neighbors are interested, or like we're just gathering interest. We're just gathering emails. It's like if you go and you try something at the farmer's market and they're like, hey, sign up for our email. I mean, we're just gathering emails to pass
Mhm.
along.
Mhm. And having a visual, something, where you can see it making progress and you can see, hey, I think that's good, even if it's just depending on what Robert says. If Robert says, no, leave me out of it, it could still be someone that, you could have a visual that I'm Firewise, that I'm making a commitment here on this board that I am going to clear the fallen tree limbs from my yard, that I'm going to have a 5-foot perimeter of my house, something like that, kind of like we tried that on the board. Just like making a visual commitment to this. And of course we can't go back to them and say, oh, you didn't do this. But I mean, it's something to kind of give people that warm, gooey feeling that, hey, look, I made this commitment and now my lot's red. And that's showing that I made this commitment. I better live up to it. And not everyone will, but it's a quirky something, and it's really easy to do, and it doesn't cost anything much other than printing it, and I can print it. So it's just something to get the community involved, because what we need is the community buy-in.
It would just be a visual interest point at the booth. Like it could just be in the backdrop. It's very informal. It's more of a fun thing. It's more of a togetherness.
And if it's not, highlight, their lot's not highlighted, then they do not get into the beer garden.
Hey, how about if we give them green ribbons and they tie a green ribbon on their tree saying, hey, I'm Firewise?
That's an
Their
option.
neighbors can go, what's the green ribbon?
Can you review for me about the 3 people who want to join our membership, who they get the paper application to, or
Just
gonna contact them, or
just send us their names, Judy, and we'll take care of it.
okay. When you say us, you mean you and
Me and Lori.
okay. Okay.
And I think we actually, as much as it'd be nice to have Barbara Wally on the committee, I don't think we can, they've already put their names in before. I don't think we can accept her because we're maximum of 7 and we're already at 5.
Right. They already put their names in before for.
Yeah, Judy already had them. She mentioned them. She sent them to us, but I just don't have them handy. She already forwarded them earlier this week, and I just found out about Barbara today.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Wait. Okay, so go back over that again, Tammy. What did you say? They've just submitted it, so we can't have them on our committee?
No, we can. Like,
Yeah.
I'm saying we can't have Barbara because we can only take 2 more. We're at 5. We're capped at 7.
Oh, okay, I see. So we're first come, first serve. But Barbara could
That's
still
fair.
she could still be a community. She could
A
still be
non-member,
a member, a
non-voting.
non-voting, like Daniel and Rob.
Can we do that? Like, I don't. It says members. Like,
Joanne said we could kind of do not anything. We can't go rogue, but she said all of this with, having limiting people to 3 minutes and things like that, that's the board. We don't have to adopt those same policies in our, we have to
Okay.
follow Robert's Rules of Order, but we don't have to say we get only 15 minutes. If we have 10 people and they each want to speak 3 minutes, we want to take up 30 minutes of our time, we can certainly do that. We
Yeah.
should just try to follow our agenda, we should put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I just wasn't
Lori and,
sure.
Lori and Timey, you have the names that Judy sent us in your inbox. I just copied and pasted it. You already, it's there.
There you
So you
go.
don't
All
have to
done.
send it.
Judy, don't worry about it. We're good. We got it.
And my, just so you all know, my board
Thanks, Colleen.
email is temporarily inaccessible by me.
Mm.
They have a two-step authenticator on there, and because I already have, I believe this is a problem, because I already have the authenticator
Mhm.
on my agency email. When I try to do it for the board email, it's not working, and they're going to have it shut off, the authenticator removed, but until that point, I can't get in.
Okay, mine's
So-
already working and I already got your email,
So
Colleen.
I will text what my email is, my regular, like, personal email, if you want to
Or I
send.
can just shoot anything pertinent
Yeah,
forward
just
to
shoot
your
it
personal
forward.
email.
Since this is prime time for people moving in and out of Sudden Valley, I'd really love to get those Firewise handouts with a brief note in the new member packets as soon as possible and not wait another 2 weeks even. So I'm wondering if we could vote just to approve that issue so that the admin people who put together those packets can go ahead and add them, because I have about 100 of these. And I came up with a tentative note that's about 3 sentences. And if you're interested, we could approve that and get it rolling. So we don't wait till
Do we give out
September.
physical new member packet, new resident
yeah.
packet?
The new resident packet that the Welcome Center gives out to
Do we-
all-
We do not give out
I-
new resident packets.
you don't.
Yeah,
not
no, I
anymore.
didn't think so.
Yeah,
They used
No,
to.
we had given the new resident handbook to the document review to review because there are so many changes compared to the old ones. And then the document review was started on policies because those were outdated. So then it was more important to do those than it was to do the resident handbook. And then they started on the ACC. So I think the resident handbook is next for the document review.
but is it just available online, Morgan?
There is there is resident resources online, but we could scan that and add it to it easily, but we do not hand out a welcome packet.
Okay. I have a PDF of this Firewise brochure already. So
I could
send it.
scan that to the resident resources page.
Okay.
And can we add that to like our campaign, like moving forward, that periodically that gets put into an e-blast possibly?
That would be Joanne
It'd be a
manages the
Joanne.
content
Joanne.
of the e-blast. If with her permission, I can add safety committee and Firewise information to the e-blast.
How do we ask permission or put forth that suggestion, Lori and Timey?
Either Timmy or I will email Joanne.
Is this something we need to vote on, or how does this work? How does that part work? We as a
You know-
committee voted and approved the idea, or what do we do to make it official?
I think we can, if we want, we can vote to request that gets scanned into community information.
Can we make a general ask that it like safety committee, like a general safety committee information, whatever we decide, like this being the first part? Can we ask that safety committee information be included in e-blasts in general? And then it's our job to offer content?
So Timmy, do we have to take that to the board?
I think it's a Joanne thing. We'll have to, next time we meet with her, we'll ask her the logistics of that, if she's willing to do that.
If we could just have like a little section of an
Mhm.
e-blast, right?
Yeah, we'll ask. We could,
Yeah.
hey,
Well,
harm in asking, right?
and I'm also hoping that this will be able to be posted on the new safety committee webpage. Because in other, like the ACC, there's a link to information. We could do a link to this PDF. And that would be a wonderful way to get it out to everybody, because I can only get 200 of these at a time and they go fast. And they cost me 10 cents each for shipping. And someday I want to ask you how I can not have to pay that 10 cents each for shipping. But in the meantime,
I
I've got
can
about 100 of them.
scan that and add it to the page.
I have a scan of it,
Yeah.
but if it's not a quality enough scan, of course, you're welcome to do
If you
it.
bring me an original, I can scan it in high quality.
Sweet. Okay, I will do
Okay.
that.
Thank you, Morgan.
Uh-huh.
Morgan?
I'm not an expert at these meetings, but I think the only, like, a lot of what we did today is like brainstorming and working on things. I think we're only gonna have to vote is if we are voting in a new member. And and what else would we actually, because we don't make any.
Well, we were,
Did vote if we were going to, I'm just going from my finance, when we don't, well, we're looking at a request for funds or something, we vote to recommend to the board. So I guess what we would vote here is a safety committee votes to recommend to the board, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know that anything we did today we need to vote on. Do you think?
no, I don't really think so. Nothing
Can
needs to
we
be
vote
taken to
to
the board.
Can we vote to recommend? I mean, do we need to vote? Does everyone agree that we want to try to put safety
E-blasts?
content in
Yeah.
e-blast?
I think we
Yeah.
could just agree on that. I don't think that takes.
Yeah, I
a
don't think we need to really vote on it. Anybody have a problem with it going in e-blasts?
Yeah,
I don't
this is
think
the
so.
blind leading the blind.
So can we have a document of, and maybe it takes the first few meetings to form it, but what it is we want to accomplish, what are our deliverables specifically?
Sure.
And like, because Ted Wong, Ted has a water safety recommendation email. I don't know if everyone got that, but he has some things here that are, we should probably, maybe next meeting we talk about, and we, might want to add to what it is we want to do in terms of our deliverables, but maybe
Yeah.
the first like 4 meetings, we're just gathering information, making a plan. And then we lay it all out. Here's what we plan to deliver.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's just so much like you were saying. We just have to kind of figure out what we can actually do and what is beyond our scope.
Yeah, but so does everyone here, has everyone used Google Docs?
I don't really use it, but I'm sure it's pretty easy.
Do you have a Gmail account, Timmy?
Yeah.
So you just have to have a Gmail account if it's a shared Google Doc, anyone can just like change it, edit it, add things to it. It's just like, it's like a virtual whiteboard.
Okay.
Or we could use something called Trello, which is, if you could imagine, Trello's great. I mean, we've used it for years, but if you can imagine sticky notes in columns, and as you move it, you have your first far left is your ideas, and as you move it along, you like pick that sticky note up and move it, but it's a program and it's free. So we could look at doing something like that if we wanted to manage our projects.
I just want to make sure that all the committee members, because I'm just now getting Ted's list. I just want to make sure as a member that all the members, get their ideas. At least we talk about it and we can decide if it's a priority or is
Yeah.
it within our scope.
Yeah, and water safety we didn't even touch on that until right now, but water safety is something we could take on too. We do have a marina here, we have beaches here, and
So-
I don't think we've had any real unfortunate accidents.
Can we put that issue on the agenda for the 20th?
I was just gonna say that, and Ted,
And
you can present what you have.
Okay.
Ted didn't have everybody's email addresses, so I sent it on just before the meeting to Colleen and to your 2 board member emails. So that's
So
why.
does anyone here have a problem with sharing contact information?
No?
I'm not sure which emails to use for people. I only use one for Sudden Valley stuff, and that's what you all
That's
have.
the one we have, right?
Yeah, but I
Okay.
don't know what you prefer being board members, whether you want your board email or your personal email or.
Well, if we could make this a lot less complicated if we get our safety at, because then we're all just talking to each other.
That's what I was gonna say, like, we
Yeah.
get our safety email, then it all goes into there and we can talk to each other in that, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, great.
Okay. So good. I think this was a good first meeting.
Oh, I have one more thing. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
When do we need to make a final decision about any money that we're gonna want to ask for in this budget for 2025?
Well, as of right now, this committee doesn't exist after November, whatever,
Yeah.
4th or 5th.
So-
So any money, like if we needed something and it was $300, say, that is not something we would be budgeted for anyway. That's something that would come out of just general operating, or if it was something larger that the board would authorize it out of UDR. I mean, our expenses aren't going to be that big.
To make our case that we need to have a continuation, we need to become an official committee. Can we make that like, I'm just throwing out a number, but that 4 meeting goal of having a, very specific deliverable agenda, that would give us something to present that is detailed to the board to try to, to make our case for, here's what we're going to deliver. Here are our goals. And this is why we should be a permanent committee.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
definitely.
work on it.
Uh-huh. And just the 2 deliverables we have right now, those are, well, the 3 deliverables we have,
Yeah.
those aren't one and done, other than the Fireways meeting. But doesn't mean that it's one and done forever, have
Yeah.
one annually. But having educating residents, that's ongoing, that doesn't stop.
Right.
And traffic safety group, that doesn't stop. So, and when coming up with this and talking with Joanne, you don't want to give yourself too many deliverables that you can't meet. And
Well, I mean, if we give ourselves a calendar year,
yeah,
and
if
a
we could
reasonable
go for
goal.
2025, this is what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
If we could become a permanent committee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and you said if it's a vote, if it goes to the membership time, again, we should probably ask Linda, because she knows absolutely everything. But how we vote on our budget and our dues, if somebody doesn't vote, it basically counts as a yes. Would the same hold true if this was on a ballot to form a committee?
No,
It's got to be more than what percentage of those that vote, not of the membership, correct?
I don't know on a thing like this, whether it just passes by majority.
We'll
So
ask Linda.
again,
Give her
put it on and then the details.
Yeah, okay, but that's something we'll probably have to bring up before we do the voters pamphlet.
Yeah.
Mhm. Maybe talk to Rob, he might know.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that.
Sweet.
Because I think we have community support.
Well, clearly when you got that many people showing up for the Firewise, people are interested.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could make those I wonder if they have buttons or something, and I could just make them that say, I support safety, and people could pick up something and wear. I can
Well,
make
if we get to the ballot, if that is the case, we just have to be allotted enough text space to describe what we do.
Mhm.
And we can, on social media, if that's the case, if it's on the ballot, we can use that documented goal of deliverables to present to the community members and say, here's what we want to do. We're on the ballot. Vote yes.
So I think we need to talk to Keith.
Yeah, there's a few things we have to work on, but these are all, like, they're good ideas. We just see if we can
I
make
just
it
don't
happen.
know- I just don't even honestly know how it all works, so.
I don't have enough procedural stuff either. This is the first year, even though it's my third year on the board, it's the first year that I'm learning some of the ins and outs of some of this because I wasn't part of it. So it is,
Well, that's why we love Linda.
that is exactly why we love Linda.
Mhm,
She
yep.
can never leave the board. We're gonna have to put that on the ballot that her term is like, no, until as long as she wants.
She's not up this year, is she?
No,
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 okay.
another year. But we just have to make her run again after that.
Exactly. Okay, well, sounds good. So I will get I'll get these minutes done before I leave. Also, and I am out of town from Saturday the 8th until the 18th. I'll be back at noon on the 18th. So I will be gone a little bit, but I should have access to my email and my phone, and you guys can feel free to text me and stuff too. I don't care. And for most of the days, except for there's like a couple of days where I think I will have no cell service.
Well, we just need to get you email. So
Yeah, well, it's coming. I'm sure. I know it's a couple of tickets put in. It's it's an IT thing, and it's not something that our staff can do. It's something that has to be done by an outside company. So they're doing all they can, but Tiny's can get hers. So
Yeah, and like I said, I can forward you
Now.
anything that pertains to you, which
yeah,
I have like 47 now. Just my phone's been dinging. It's like,
well,
Oh,
I want
no,
to
too
thank
many committees.
Lori and thank you, Tiny, for putting forth the effort to like make this committee, to make this space and to begin having these like safety outreach education efforts because we need it. And I just wanted to say thank you.
I want to
well,
thank you guys too.
thank Judy for spearheading this
Yes.
and lighting a fire, and for both of you, Colleen and
Don't
Ted.
say lighting a fire.
Oh gosh,
More
no
choice of
pun
words.
Fire under
intended.
us.
That goes against the purpose of what we're
I
doing.
know.
Okay, well then officially I will adjourn this meeting at 4:43 p.m.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, everybody.
We'll see you
Good
guys all
Right.
later.
Eh,
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Morgan. Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan.